Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I will answer a question I received via YouTube comments. The question was, how do I add funds or how do I add a safety order manually to my 3Commas DCA bot? So we will look at 3Commas today and we'll look at the DCA bot, such as the one I have open now on my screen. And I will show you how to add a safety order manually. And this is a good candidate. This is a bot I started on TRB coin on 1st of January and today and we are already in February. So that bot was stuck and I had 7 safety orders there set up for this bot, so it consumed all of them and the price is well below its exit point. So if I wanted to actually perhaps add more funds and possibly expedite its exit, or if I think now is a really good time maybe to buy a bit more of TRB, I could do that. I could add funds or I could add a safety order to this bot. So this is what I want to show you now live. And you know that the safety order information is actually specified here in the bot settings. So as I mentioned, I had specified 7 safety orders, but the drop was so significant that all safety orders were consumed and the bot was stuck for a while, not allowing me to exit the deal. So there are several ways how you could add funds now at a lower price. And one of them is actually can be done automatically. So there's a set of additional conditions. These are additional commands you can send to your bot, and you would send them via webhook from TradingView. So if you had a TradingView alert, for example, you would monitor for a certain price level or any other kind of indicator, and you would say, all right, now is a perfect time, maybe because we hit the bottom or we're reversing or whatever, to buy a bit more of that coin. You could use this right here, message for adding funds in quote currency. I will not drop down this particular section because here you would see the payload, you would specify in the webhook. And I don't want to drop down because it has my private information, but you can check this out in your own bot. And that would be somewhat of an automated way. You could add safety order or add funds. You can specify the amount there in the payload. And it could be done automatically when you sleep, for example, if the price hits a certain level. But if you are in front of your computer and you want to manipulate this manually, the way you would do this is from the deals menu. So you would have to go to my deals and find this particular bot. So let me copy the bot name, copy, I go to my deals, and I will search for the deal associated with that particular DCA bot now. So click here, bot, paste, and here it is. And here, this is a very visual representation of how deep the drawdown is. Unfortunately, I am in minus 34%, even after all the safety orders that I was trying to space out on this particular pair, on the coin TRB. Let's just take a look at it real fast from the price perspective. So that was a very volatile coin, very volatile pair, and that was the reason I set up the bot on it, to gain a bit on volatility. And January, it looks like I had purchased this somewhat close to the top. Look at this, oh wow. How deep the rabbit hole goes. Yeah, that's crazy. So that's not something you would trade on futures unless you really rely on your luck. That particular bot that I have is running or was running on spot. And it looks like here was my last safety order, and that's where the price is right now. So yeah, I think it's okay to add funds at this price level, and I will not add a lot here for that particular pair. I will not invest too much into it. So the way you would do this is like this. First of all, you could have this directly add funds button. And when you click on it, you can specify the amount that you would want to buy. Here you can do it in USDT. So for example, you could say, well, I want to spend additional $7 to buy TRB coin at the market price. And here the market price, or you could say I want to do it at the limit price as well. So this could be a bit more precise if you have a certain level that you're watching on. But let's do it at the market price, $7, add funds, and I do it like this. Okay, and now you can see automatically some figures were adjusted. My drawdown is not so bad anymore because I bought at a lower price now, and my average price and average negative unrealized P&L is not so bad anymore. There's one more thing I could do, and so now I just added funds manually, but there's one more thing that I can do here, is I could edit this particular deal and essentially edit the bot that I have running. And here I could add additional safety order. So first I added the funds, and now I'm adding additional safety order. And here I specified 7 initially in my bot. Now I could say I want to have 8 or 9. I think 8 would be sufficient. And once I modify this, additional limit order, additional safety order would be opened. And when the price reaches that level, it would be also filled. So I just did that. And let's refresh again. And now again, you can see this very visual. I like this interface in 3Commas, that you have a bit more space for your extra 8 safety order to be open. So we just added safety order, and if I click here, it will take me back to the DCA bot settings. So now we can see some latest events, namely me placing this safety order. And right here, we can see now we are at 7 out of 8. So these were the main ways how to manipulate your bot somewhat manually. One, as I mentioned, you could trigger an alert to add funds in quote currency. You could add the $7 or $10 as I just did via webhook. Another way I just have shown you, you added funds through my deals. You find the bot that you want to manage and you add funds here, or you edit the bot. And there is yet one more interesting thing that you can do. And it's an alternative. You don't need to do it in combination, but there's one more thing you could do if you wanted to have a total control of your deal. And what you would do, you would actually convert that deal into a SmartTrade. So here's the button. I would press it here, and then it will tell me that once I proceed with this, my deal will no longer be managed via this DCA bot that I have just shown you, but it will be a smart deal instead. So I'll show you what that means. So confirm. And now I will be, let's see what happens. Now I will be moved to a smart deal menu. Okay, deal converted. Please review details. I will save it and I will explain to you. Okay, saved. Good. So Initially, I was in a DCA bot menu, showing you the DCA bot for the coin. Then I jumped to my deals in order to add funds or edit deal, add safety order. And now I'm in the SmartTrade menu. And this is the SmartTrade that we ended up having by converting the bot into this isolated standalone trade. Now, the SmartTrade is actually yet another set of features you can do in you can utilize in 3Commas, and you can set up your smart trades from the very beginning to create a long and short order. You can trade on futures, you can trade on spot. It's a separate discussion. Now I just want to go back to the SmartTrade we ended up with because of this transfer of the DCA bot to the SmartTrade. So this is what we ended up with. The menu looks kind of familiar here, the interface. And here, if I edit it, there's a few things I could do here that I cannot do in the DCA bot. So I could, for example, have multiple profit targets. I could say, all right, so what I want to do is I want to take, let's say, 2% profit for half of my position, 50% of my position, and another 2% for the remaining half. And now I have just enabled multiple profit targets for that particular deal. So if I save that, we will see this visually right here. We are quite far away, with 28% now away or below these targets, but I stay optimistic that we may get some volatility and optimism, and that particular coin will reach these targets. There are more things you could do here. Again, you could add funds, similarly as I have shown you in my deals section. Here, if I click on add funds, you're already familiar with this, either market or limit order for a specified amount. And you know, you could actually be quite creative with this add funds option, this menu, because what you could do, you could kind of mimic the safety order behavior. Let me show you what I mean. By going from market to limit and using very specific prices, for example, obviously below the current price, for example, I'll say 100, I'll add 7, save, and I'll do one more. Add funds, limit 80, and I'll buy for $10 more. All right, now our deal looks quite cool. We can see this visually. This will refresh in a second. My two so-called safety orders. Let me refresh it. Yeah, it appeared. So these are the two add funds or two safety orders that I've done in my SmartTrade. You can see my multiple take profits. I could do stop loss here as well. I don't need to because I'm trading on spot. I'm not in rush here. I'll let this coin do its own thing until it exits, and I'll just monitor this. If I'm not happy about this 100, see, I wanted to buy at 80 and then at 100, I can edit this. So there is a drop down here. There's additional information, additional pane with information under your deal. So if I expand this, here is the information that I have for exits, for my target profits, as well as for my add funds or so-called safety orders. So if I'm not happy with this 100 and I say, well, no, I'd rather buy it at 90, I can just edit it here. So this 100 line is here. I edit it. And I can say, well, let's do 90. And this way, I'm going to add funds or add additional safety order at 90. Let's wait for it to refresh. Hope that was useful. If you do have questions on this topic or any other topics, leave me a comment and I'll be happy to share with you.